everybody, welcome back to The Joy of Being You. My name is Michelle, and here I talk about all things manifestation, consciousness, and the occult. Today I want to talk about body transformation and the power of the mind and how intention setting can shift the way your body appears to you and make your clothes fit better for you to gain muscle, only because I've experimented this for myself. And though I do work out, though I do believe I eat, in a way that I perceive as healthy, I don't follow a macro plan. I'm not constricted to data and analytics and numbers and hitting the best, deficit or surplus or whatever it might be. So I'll show you a picture of my body composition of what it is. I guess it's right here. I'll take a picture of it maybe with like just my arms and then my side, and you can get an idea of my figure. Rewind, going back maybe about a year and a half ago, I started learning that you could lose weight through the power of manifestation. However, I really didn't believe in it all too much. I tried, looking into it in different ways, thinking, coming from the background that I did, which was like very naturopathic in nature, very much tied to calorie deficit and surplus, for muscle gain, and power gain when you're at the gym. I come from a place of balancing hormones through a natural diet. Like my background in doctors I listen to are Dr. Mercola, Dr. Axe, Dr. Jason Fung, Dr. Mindy Peltz, Barbara O'Neill, Dr. Berg. Like there's so many different people. Even like the podcast with Sean Stevenson called The Model Health Show. They talk a lot about natural ways of healing the body. And that was the way I used to think. Now, fast forward to get to where I am now, I'm basically at the weight that I was comfortable with before my manifestation and my first shot at losing weight through manifestation fell through the cracks and I actually gained weight. But the thing is this time around, using my first manifestation failure as data to see why it failed, to see how I got to where I am now, with again, not counting calories, not restricting what it is I want to eat. I see where I was so paranoid and forcing results initially to prove to myself it works, rather than just sitting in the knowing of manifestation and knowing it works, if that makes sense. So as an example, when I first was doing this, I would eat so much candy and trash food. And there are people that do that and they seem to stay slim. I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm just explaining my story. Coming from my deeply rooted background of having to eat very clean and natural to the earth, I started eating junk food and I gained weight very quickly. I kept trying to lie to myself. I kept trying to prove to myself that what I was saying or my actions didn't affect my body, but there still was a disbelief in the manifestation power of how my body can process foods. So understand your most dominant subconscious belief, which is a program that you've had for years, if not decades, ever since you were a child, is what is creating your success or your resistance towards ultimately achieving the thing that it is what you want. And in this video, it's like the perfect figure, the perfect body, right? So I was forcing myself to try to get results. And I would look at the mirror constantly. I would keep eating really bad things and still affirm, I have to bulldoze through this idea, because that's what people tell you in the manifestation world is like, you have to bulldoze through your old beliefs. And I do believe in that. But if you're looking for validation every single day, know that you really don't believe that what you're doing is okay. If you thought what you're doing is okay, you're not looking for proof that it is, you just know that it will be, because it's always been that way. Because you're claiming this new state. And when you claim that state, indirectly you revise the past. That's what revision is in Neville Goddard's point of view, is when you do a revision, you no longer subscribe to that narrative that was a program that you kept thinking for years and years and years and years on end. So if you keep telling yourself, I'm ugly, I'm heavy, clothes don't fit me well, I can never get my arms to get leaner, I can never get my waist to get slimmer, understand what will happen is that your body will just react to the thing that you're saying. I do think there's merit to eating well. It's also my preference, but well is also whatever you think well is. You can talk to a hardcore carnivore diet person and they'll say, oh my God, you eat white rice? That is horrible for you, right? Then you'll talk to a vegan and they'll say, you eat animal products? That's insane. How is it that a carnivore diet eater and a vegan diet eater and a paleo diet eater can all exist in this world and claim that their diet is best and they function really well doing it, but neither of those or any of those could work for you because you don't find it works best for you? Why? And I want to argue it's because you have beliefs about food. You have beliefs about how they affect you. And I can say this speaking with absolute honesty because I came from a place of having autoimmune responses to foods for nearly a decade. Supplements, foods, electrolytes, different combinations of magnesium to potassium to sodium to chloride. I was going so crazy to try to just regulate my system, my body, to have good digestion and to be able to lose weight. That self-concept, right? Wanting to do this really happened in college when I had so much stress. And that stress gave me so much anxiety. It had nothing to do with my body. It had everything to do with me not feeling confident as an adult. Wanting to find stability, wanting to prove yourself, being introduced into a different community amongst thousands of new people, having to get a degree that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you're paying that much. It's a lot to take in and feel responsible for. So that I'm bringing that up, my story, to maybe lend a hand to yours. When is the last time that you had a stress blowout that caused you to have then the issues you do now physically? Since that stress blowout, what were the things you were repeating constantly that then became your symptoms? Because I, hand to my heart, would read symptoms and then they would happen to me because I so deeply believed in the science of the natural paths I was following. Didn't matter what diet, didn't matter what doctor. If I believed it, that symptom would become my fate. When I recognized that everything physical in nature I could do, whether it was changing diets, seeing different specialists, I went to 7 by the way, getting blood work, stool samples, CAT scans, MRIs. What else was there? Gut microbiome tests, organ tests. Just trying to figure out what was wrong. Fasting for 2 weeks straight, no food, just water. Doing carnivore, doing keto, doing paleo, praying, trying to do Reiki. Literally exhausting all physical options I had access to logically. But none of them worked, right? My body still did not process food well. And the more I was trying to find solutions, the less foods I was able to consume. Meaning the variation in my diet got smaller and smaller and smaller because my stress got greater and greater and greater. And my conviction and belief in food being the problem became greater and greater and greater. So what was my reality? An autoimmune dysfunction that no doctor could figure out. And I was in shambles. Until I recognized that my thoughts were creating that havoc in my body. And this lends a hand to me finding the power of doing body transformations because I recognize what I did to myself with my thoughts and my thoughts alone. The negativity in your life is also manifestations. I don't know why people say you have to be in a high vibe to manifest. You're always manifesting. What do you believe? Is your belief a high vibe? It's just a thought. Are thoughts high vibe? You know? Think of the word, I don't know, we're going to the water park. If you look at that objectively, some people be like, yeah, let's go. Other people are like, I hate that. I don't want to swim in piss. Right? It's just a statement. Your judgment of that thought is what gives it energy and life. You give your thoughts life. You don't have to be in a high vibe to create. Your thoughts just create for you. And however you judge your thoughts with the emotions that you do will create the world that you live in. That's your environment. So I was creating hell for myself in my body. And when I recognized it and physically exhausted all physical options, I then resorted to the one thing left, which was my judgment. And that was my own spiritual awakening, amongst other things, but that was a huge catalyst. And then that lent a hand to me understanding the human body through mentalism. And I want to explain my thought process and how I was able to get to where I am, where I don't count calories. I exercise however I want, whether it's just walking or going to the gym or sleeping in instead of doing anything at all. I think there's merit to eating well, but again, well is subjective to what you think well is. There's some people that smoke 3 cigarette packs a day and they live to 105. There's other people that can do everything right, textbook, you know, I'm fasting, I'm only eating greens, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm, you know, regulating my eating cycle based on my hormonal pattern for my women out there. If you do seed cycling for your period, you know, all this stuff. There's some people that are so neurotic about it that they die because of the stress that's put into it, you know. And, you know, that's a very objective statement to make, but I'm just showing you when you care so much about something and try to control something so much because you feel like you can make it better, it's not good enough, that's typically when things just break because it's like, it's already good. Just enjoy it for what it is, right? So I'm going to go into this thing called epigenetics. And if you haven't heard of epigenetics, it is something I came across by a man named Bruce Lipton. And I'm going to read you the definition of epigenetics. So here we have, it says, epigenetics is the study of how your behaviors and environment can cause changes that affect the way your genes work. How many times do you hear people say, oh, you know, it's just genetic. Heart disease is just genetic. Cancer is just genetic. My eating disorder is genetic. I mean, epigenetics says your behaviors and environment cause changes that affect the way your genes work. Sorry, I forgot to mention this one important thing, and it says, unlike your actual DNA sequence, which never changes, epigenetic modifications, like in your emotions, your behaviors, your environment, act like switches, turning genes on or off. Your behaviors, your environment, turn your genes on and off. Do you really have these genes biologically, or are you just turning them on because of your beliefs and your stressors? Is it your genes that were passed down from your family? Or is it the environment and the thoughts that you're choosing that are turning on and off the genes that are causing you issues? Like your weight gain, like your period issues, like anything else, your sickness, whatever it might be. Yes, emotions and psychological states can physically alter your epigenome. Because the brain is highly sensitive to the environment, your feelings, thoughts, and levels of stress directly influence gene expression. I want you to look into studies of people that were diagnosed with cancer, but the people that received the news to tell the patients that they had it because there was a language barrier or something like that, didn't end up telling them. And those cancer diagnosed patients ended up living for a significant amount of time, if not they're still here today. When you give all your belief to a single doctor that was educated by the pharmaceutical industry, you're giving away all the potential of your body to recover on its own. And that sounds like a stretch. But when I just told you about my story of every doctor saying, I don't know what's wrong with you, this is just natural for who you are, and I knew it wasn't right for me, I knew something was wrong, and then I told you I exhausted all my physical options that were logical in nature, right? All the things we're programmed to believe, the rationale, the protocols, the fasting, the diet changes, the whatever it might be. I put all that to the wayside and I started thinking differently and I healed myself. It's a testimony to this narrative. You can turn on and off genes that either heal you or kill you based on your emotions, based on your thoughts. That should be exciting for you because you can heal. You can change the way your body behaves. And it starts with you, not with a doctor diagnosis. Don't let them scare you. Take things with a grain of salt. Do your own research and have faith in yourself as well. Stress and trauma, chronic psychological stress and severe trauma can add chemical tags like methyl groups to DNA. If anyone knows Gary Brecka, he's like, all the methylation groups are whatever. There's the MTFHR gene or whatever. And that one's like the gene that just messes with your body. It's like, oh, the methylation. Oh, that's the problem. Oh, the methylation of DNA is the problem, Gary Brecka. I'm not going to discredit your science, but it says here, based on epigenetics, you can turn on and off methylation based on what you think and what you feel. Do I really need your $300 product? Or do I just need to calm down and control my mind? And my body will recover. I think the latter. I'm a testimony to this. I've experienced it myself. Positive emotions, interventions like mindfulness, meditation, therapy, and experiencing positive emotions such as empathy or joy can induce beneficial epigenetic changes, promoting better emotional regulation and overall well-being. That lends a hand to the next segment I'm going to say, which is reversibility. Unlike your underlying genetic code, which is just your gene makeup, right, your genetics, epigenetic marks are reversible. So if you turn on a gene with your stress and anxiety, it means you can turn it off. So we all have the gene for cancer. It just depends if you're turning it on or off or not. And when you turn it on, it's because you're very stressed out. You have so much anxiety. It's because you have toxins in your body. You turn it off by removing all that stuff. Positive lifestyle changes and emotional regulation can actually rewrite or remove the tags left by negative stress. That is amazing. You're telling me of the gene for obesity based on epigenetics and what I just broke down, saying that your thoughts can turn it on and off certain genes and also direct them to do certain things. I don't think you have the gene for obesity. You just have the behaviors and the thought process of obesity. You just have to change them, and then you can change the way that you show up in the world. Do not identify as a victim. Identify as someone who can change their circumstances. I want to bring up a couple examples here, and then I also want to bring up one major thing that was like a catalyst for me to really see how I judge myself and how I judge others, basically to jump out of the stigma of like needing to eat so restrictively. So I kind of want to adjust my lighting a little bit. Okay, like get the logical side of like food and like calorie counting and macro counting and all that, and like step away from it, because it becomes a disorder when you get so obsessed and you hardly enjoy life anymore, you know? There's anxiety revolved around it, and I used to be like that. I would shake if I had to eat in front of people. This was years ago, but it's very true. And I want to help people who are so fixated in that industry to step out of it, and just to say, you know, every rep I do is making me stronger. Every step I take is making me leaner. Every food I eat makes my waist so slim. And if you're a girl, you know, and you want to be curvy, say every bite I take makes my chest and my butt big. You know, if you're a guy, say the same thing for yourself. It makes my pecs stronger, makes my abs come out more. You know, I said that like a country. Makes my abs work. But self-talk clearly turns on and off your genes. So why not try it? What else do you have to lose? I tried everything physical in nature again to cure myself at the point in time I needed it most, and nothing worked. But self-talk did. It turned off the genes for a shutting down body, and I turned on the genes for a healthy one. I'm thriving now. I love it. So I'm going to read you a couple of studies here. It says the classic study in 1992. In one of the most cited experiments, participants either performed actual maximal finger contractions, only imagined performing those contractions, or did nothing as a control group. After 4 weeks, the physical training group increased strength about 30%. Okay, logically that makes sense. But check this out. The mental imagery group increased strength by about 22%. These people didn't do anything. They did no contractions. They didn't do any working out. They just thought about it. Instead of doing this, whatever the muscle contraction is for their finger, they just thought about that. And somehow they got a strength of 22%. You know, I brought this up before, but it's important to keep bringing home, okay? I have my little whiteboard here. This is the word mind. Mind over matter is quite literally true. This is, ooh, that's a horrible E. Dear Lord. Mind over matter. Okay? Mind is over matter. Why? Because mind creates matter. Are you telling yourself you're sick? Are you telling yourself you're healthy? That matters. What you say matters in the mind, okay? Because if you tell yourself you're sick, it's going to create the physical experience, the matter, the 3D realm experience of you being sick. If you tell yourself you're healthy in the mind, it's going to create the matter or the 3D experience of health. That is the occult, that is the esoteric, that is the power of consciousness. You are God. The same applies with romance, the same applies with money. Manifestation is easy, the spiritual community made it difficult. It's just about your thoughts. Being a disciple is being disciplined in the way you think. Discipline the way you think, and then your results will be made manifest in the external plane into matter. Okay. There we go. So we have another one, Cleveland clinical study. Another study had participants imagine forcefully contracting their ankle muscles for several weeks, all right? It says strength increased by approximately 10 to 13%. Some of the gains persisted months later. I bet some of these people were just subconsciously dialed in on it, so of course their ankle strength grew. 10 to 13% just by thinking about it? Imagine if you really saturated and believed it. I'm sure it could go to 20 or 30%. Have you ever seen or heard those stories of like a mom needing to save a baby under a car, so she just flips the car? It's the same principle. There's urgency. What do you decree? The intention is I need to save this child. Nothing physical in nature matters, so whoop, there goes the car. Then there's an interview later on being like, how'd you do it? How'd you get the strength? She's like, I don't know. I didn't think about it much. Because you just set an intention and you create it. This is manifestation. This is welcome to understanding your power better, you know? This one was cool. So I have two more that I think are important, all right? It says, in the famous Harvard hotel maid study, researchers told 44 hotel maids that their daily cleaning work was excellent exercise that met the Surgeon General's recommendations. So because you believe, oh, the Surgeon General knows so much about health, I'm sure my workout of being a maid is gonna crush the calorie limit or whatever. It's just gonna burn calories, okay? So now that the instilled belief is put in you that, oh, the mark of health, this Surgeon General or whatever, has the standard of, oh, if you burn these amount of calories based on your work, it seems like you're doing that, you're gonna lose weight. The seed is planted, they said you're gonna lose weight because this higher authority said so. That is the placebo effect. The maids told this information, lost nearly 2 pounds, decreased their body fat, and lowered their blood pressure, entirely from a shift in mindset without changing their diet or daily behavior. That's interesting. And what's it called? The maids that didn't participate but were doing the same amount of exercise didn't lose weight at all. Mind over matter. The next example, sham knee surgeries. These are basically fake. I don't know how they're ethical, but here we go. In a classic study on osteoarthritis, researchers, what was it? Researchers split knee pain patients into two groups, one receiving real orthoscopic surgery and the other receiving a sham surgery, where doctors simply cut incisions in the skin to mimic as if it was a medical procedure. The result, the patients who received the fake surgery reported the exact same reduction in pain. What? And improvements in walking ability as those who had the real surgery, lasting for up to 2 years. Isn't that crazy? What if they kept believing it? What if they just weren't told it was a sham surgery? Eventually, what if they were just like, no, I'm healed, I'm good. That's what I did with my knee surgery. I manifested out of it, but because I wasn't convinced of myself, unfortunately, I had to get it again. But during the surgery or afterwards for the recovery, I was telling myself, I get milestones sooner. I get to walk sooner, I get to run sooner, I get to lift sooner, I deadlift heavier, I squat more. And what happened? Now that's what I do. Why? Oh, it's me, it's your genes, you're just lucky, you're young, you're disciplined. Shut up. It's my thoughts. It's what I'm choosing. And everyone can choose this too. Do you know how many people have had meniscus surgeries and like, oh, it got infected, I had to get another one, oh, my ACL blew out. It's like, dude, because you're pissed off, you had to go through that, and I get it. And that negative thought creates the focus on that area to then create more pain for your knee in the future. Understood. I don't have knee pain in the winter. I have full flexibility, I have full range of motion, I can squat, I can run without any issues. No questions asked, because I decided. So many people afterwards have issues, they feel stuff. Not me. And even if I do, I say it doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter. Why? Because your mind creates matter, like I brought up before. Mind over matter. So the last thing I want to talk about this whole weight loss thing, and a couple more of, I guess, commentary on my successes. It's this account I use, Body by Mark, and he's on YouTube, and he basically finds really fit people in New York and is like, how'd you get so fit? Sorry this keeps shaking. I have to find out a better way to make it not shake. But he goes up to people and says, if you don't mind me asking, how'd you get so fit? And all of these people say different things. So they could be men between the ages of 30 to 35, and they'll say, oh, well, I stack my supplements and I count my macros and I get 8 hours of sleep, which is what is sold by the fitness industry. So you see the profit margin on that guy. Meanwhile, you have another guy in the same age, right, the same demographic, and he says, I don't take supplements, and yet he's still jacked. He's still strong. Look at it for yourself. There's hundreds and hundreds of videos. Different ages, different people, sure, different backgrounds and ethnicities, but we just went over epigenetics. And epigenetics is your thoughts and feelings and your mood can change certain genes that turn on and off in your body. So if you're like, oh, I just have the genes to be small, I always have small calves, or I just can't get toned arms. Your thoughts create your reality. What you're saying to yourself is creating your body composition. If you believe in manifestation, you need to understand why you were completely, throwing your gains off, because your thoughts are contradicting all the effort you're putting in. If your thoughts just were advocating for what the work you're doing, no matter how much or how small, you would improve the way your body looks. You'd actually be happy with your physique. And I've done that. I've lost a significant amount of weight without counting calories for once in my life. I've also increased my chest size. My arms are more slim. They're more toned. I just don't have to put as much effort in it anymore. I don't have to think anymore. The thing is because when you're in a frequency of, I just am good. I'm just fine. Everything is good. I'm my body's fine, I'm happy with it, I'm my perfect ideal physique. What that does is it puts you in a state, it regulates your appetite. It's like, are you hungry today? Are you not hungry today? I'm not saying that, you know, you have to like fast or do whatever. But what I'm saying is like your body will tell you when you need to eat. And even if you don't eat at that point in time, it's not the end of the world. You're not gonna die. You know, there's such an obsession with food. It's like you can enjoy it. But if it's to the point where you have to constantly bombard your mouth with food, it's like, that's almost like an addiction. And I've been there too, you know, because there's an obsession with like the fitness industry with counting all the calories, being so restrictive that it makes you a glutton almost. So it's like, it's about finding that happy balance and not being so hard on yourself. You know, when people say, oh, this is gonna make me put on 10 pounds, and they believe it, what happens to them? They're in a chronic cycle of never being able to just be their ideal figure. Meanwhile, if you just tell yourself, I can have a beer and a pizza tonight with my friends. This is actually helping me because I can relax and cut loose for once, right? You're giving yourself a break. How does your body process that when you regulate it with those words? I'd argue better. I'd argue significantly better. I've taken supplements before where I feared the worst from them and it gave me that reaction. I also stopped judging them now, and now they don't affect me. Is what you're consuming poison, or is it helping you? You decide. The supplement will remain the supplement, the food will remain the food. Your mind has a lot of power and say in what happens to your body. So going back to Body by Mark, again, he has like so many different people explaining how they got so fit. And because everybody's story is so different, yet they look incredibly good, you know, they look like cut, strong, whatever. I'm like, it's all their self-concept. That's what it is. There's hundreds of case studies if you want to check them out and just listen to them. Some people are, again, I dial in my diet. Other people like, I don't care. I just lift and I enjoy it. And that's why their body's the way it is. So when you see how we've been so brainwashed to have to fit a particular mold to get the physique that we really want, I don't believe in it anymore. I have too much proof for myself to even touch that narrative again. It just doesn't make sense. Because I see how I've changed my self-talk over the years and how it's improved my whole life in general, but because this video is about the physical body, especially the physical body. So in order to get out of the mundane, monotonous, frustrating lifestyle of calories, you need to logically pull yourself back by proving to yourself why calories aren't a thing, why they don't matter. And your body can have a high metabolism or a low metabolism based on the law of assumption, if we're really applying this logic, because epigenetics stem from your thoughts and your inner world and your external environment. So if you tell yourself you have a high metabolism, why wouldn't it work? You can turn on the gene for it. There's science that proves this. And to understand manifestation better for myself, what I needed to do was use logic like science to bridge the gap to better understand spirituality and trust myself. Okay? So that's the video I wanted to make today, is that weight loss is possible for everybody. I think we need to stop fearing food. I think we need to stop listening to a lot of the experts in the fitness industry and all that, because a lot of them, I mean, they know what they know and that's great, but they make things so hard to follow. It makes it too regimented. It doesn't make it seem as easy, and it seems far too disciplined, which robs you of like you're being able to enjoy, you know, dinner with friends if it doesn't match your macros or whatever. And I'm not saying that, you know, I'm a bodybuilder or anything by that means. I just, if you're just looking to lose weight and to love your body and to be happy in it and to like have, you know, a leaner arms and like stronger legs. For my guys, if you just want like a bigger back, stronger chest, like start seeing yourself that way. And then the actions will just feel natural to you. Whether it's you eating broccoli and rice or you having spaghetti, like it just, you will know. It is a calling. You follow that thought process. It's intuitive. When you step into a state, the thing is the thoughts will follow and flow through you. That's what intuition and guidance is. You really don't have to use much of your logic. You just have to follow the flow of what you're inspired to do. So I hope that's helped somebody out there. I feel like there's a lot of people online that'll just say, lose weight just by thinking about it. And that is true, but it also doesn't help bridge, again, the gap from processing things logically to like trusting spiritual law. So I hope this video helped somebody out there do that. If it has or hasn't, feel free to leave me a comment and explain your concerns, and I can make more videos explaining my perspective, trying to better cure whatever issue you have, you know, in the sense of weight loss or health or something like that. But not a doctor. I've just been failed by many. And thankfully that was the case, so I could wake up to my consciousness and my capacity to manifest. So if you feel like this video has helped you, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate the support. I have a lot of links in my description, whether it's to my Amazon store, my children's book, my Etsy, merch, you know, the list goes on. And that's all I got for you. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.